Hey friends, welcome to 1 Minute with Monée. Balance doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen one intentional minute at a time. This podcast gives you the tools to make it happen. I'm your host, Monée, your favorite concierge and founder of Time Managed LLC. Join me each week for practical tips and real examples to help you manage your lifestyle with ease. Hello and welcome. Today I have the honor of interviewing Myra Deshmukh, and she is the owner and founder of the Leadership Lab. I have known Myra for a very long time. We actually used to work at Amazon together, but we are both entrepreneurs, not Amazon employees anymore.
Right.
Welcome to the show. How are you, Myra?
Thanks, Monét. Good to see you, and thanks for having me. I am great. It's a different glow, the entrepreneur glow, right?
Yes, it is an entrepreneurial glow. We earn the glow. Like we really, we really do earn the glow.
That's right. Oh my gosh. Lots of stories to tell in my short time as an entrepreneur, but I'm doing great. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait for my audience to get to know you. I do want to first start out by saying you are the kickoff for Women's History Month. And by the time this this episode goes live, you will be one of the first women who I recognize as entrepreneurs. I know it is a lot harder for us as women to be entrepreneurs, and especially if you are also running a family and, taking care of perhaps parents or other family members or whatever our stories are. So thank you so much for being here and for allowing me to elevate your story.
Thank you. I'm honored to be part of Women's History Month.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, and you can start with your career and then how you came up with the idea to start the Leadership Lab.
Sure. Yeah. So I am the founder of the Leadership Lab, where we teach all the skills that are absolutely critical to be successful at work, but no one's ever going to teach you at work. So you're just expected to learn them. And I started this after spending 17 years in retail and tech. So before Amazon, I was at The Gap. I spent 6 years there and then joined Amazon for a little over 10 and a half years, where we met. And I realized through all that time that there were so many things that we were expected to know, that we were expected to deal with conflict and collaborate with each other and make quick decisions and communicate, at like zero support on how to actually do that unless you had a great manager or a mentor or somebody who, was going to teach you how to do it.
Right.
And so I actually started a learning and development team at Amazon to help teach people some of these skills, and then realized like this is not an Amazon problem. This is an everywhere problem. This is every corporate job problem. And so that's what motivated me to start the Leadership Lab. And I started that last year. And now we do workshops, trainings, career coaching for a lot of those like daily skills that you need. And at home, I have two little girls, feisty little girls, 4 and an 8-year-old, and my husband, who is a product manager, poet, food enthusiast, keeps me busy.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. Now, you didn't start off in this space of learning and development, right? So tell us where you got started with the function that you typically were in and how you kind of transitioned into that learning and development space.
Yeah, so I started in retail. I was a merchandiser. So I basically created the products that you see in stores at the Gap and in different Gap brands, which was a super cool job, like objectively cool, right? To like pick the clothes that go in the stores. And I actually hated it. Like I didn't know that I hated it at the time because it was so cool. But that was like a lot of people projecting onto me what I should like and not like. But I started in retail and I just learned like the things that I liked. I liked the strategy. I liked the customer. I moved into more of a buyer role at Amazon and then pivoted into marketing and like CX stuff, and then tried a whole bunch of stuff at Amazon. I was in marketing, program management, product management. We wore a lot of hats at Amazon. And that is where I realized like there's a lot of stuff that we're being asked to do and we're not really successful at doing it. And so maybe we should teach people how to do it. And I said that out loud, and I basically pitched like, we should have some support to train people. And they were like, yeah, you should lead that. Go do that. That's great. And I'm like, yeah, I should do that. Let me go do that. And I always loved that stuff on the side, but I never thought that could be a career path for me. And then took a hard turn into teaching and learning and never looked back. I love it.
Oh yeah, I love that too. So it had to be a interesting transition for you because it was something you had never done. They created a role for you to develop a department that didn't exist at the time. So did you have any challenges with imposter syndrome or second guessing yourself about that decision?
Definitely second guessing it. I mean, when you think about like what success means to you, like I had very traditional definitions of it, of like getting promoted, being the expert in your field, having more people on your team, like in your function. And so I always kind of thought that I would be a leader in retail on the retail side, and never thought that I would be, supporting retail teams internally. And I definitely don't have any formal learning and development experience. So I tried to learn as much as I could. I really don't love imposter syndrome, but of course I felt a lot of those feelings, especially when you're in your head about things and you don't have perspective. But when I looked around at people, I'm like, there are way more confident people out there with half of my experience. Like, how is it possible? Like, I should be the one that's super confident with all this experience. And so, like, that's
Yeah.
how I just get perspective on imposter syndrome, because it's irrational. Like, we have so much experience and we second guess ourselves and doubt ourselves and have so many societal pressures everywhere. And like, it's totally unfounded. Like, we are actually more qualified than we give ourselves credit for. And so that is what kind of helped me. And I realized, like, in this space, in learning and development space, there's not a lot of people from the business side who get into this space. And yet those are the people that know all the challenges, all
Yep.
all the things that go down on the daily that people need help with. And so I tried to see, like, what unique perspective am I going to bring into this? And then obviously, like, I had to learn a lot about adult learning and facilitating and training. And I brought on some people who had that experience as well, but definitely leaned into the place that's how I got the role, was because I had passion in this, I was good at it, and I brought a unique perspective and value to.
Right. Right. It sounds like that's exactly what they needed. And sometimes we need that. We need outside confirmation that we're in the right place. But then it's also us telling ourselves that, I'm built for this. Positive self talk. I'm the one who they chose. So there had to be a reason that they chose me. I know the business because I've worked in it. I know, the ropes to skip, the ropes to know, so to speak. And so you brought all of that to the table and built the team. So I think that was also a smart thing to do, because as leaders, you can't always be the smartest person in the room. And
Absolutely
you're
not.
really only as smart as your team and the people who you put around you. So to build a team that kind of filled the gaps for what you didn't know, it sounded like you all were a powerhouse team.
I like to think so. Yeah, we got a lot done, and you're totally right. Like, I feel like you're setting yourself up for failure if you're trying to be the smartest person in the room. That shouldn't be the end goal.
Yep.
Surround yourself with other people that collectively you're the smartest team. You're the most productive team, the most effective team, but like, you yourself, like, you can't, especially as a leader, you can't think of yourself as kind of the only thing carrying everybody. Like, you have to really lean on other people
For sure.
and know what your value is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, really run with that, not shy away from that.
Yeah, absolutely. So now walk me through then what happened. So, you had this great job. they they put you in this role. They created the role for you. You built an amazing team who did great work. What did the next couple years look like for you?
Yeah, so I was in that role I built that team for 3 years, and it was surprise, training works. When you give people development and support, it works. And it grew, it scaled, it ended up, combining with another learning and development org that existed and supported even more people. And then I was hitting my 10-year mark at Amazon, and I was just reflecting on, like, what do I want to do next? Do I want to continue in this space at Amazon? Do I want to try something new? And I just, like, really was passionate about this, but most of all, I was passionate about building, like getting back to starting things from scratch and like building something from scratch. And that's kind of when I decided, like, I think maybe I could do this on my own and do this outside of Amazon and build my
Right.
own brand for it and impact way more people, way more teams, besides just Amazon. So that is when I decided to leave and start the Leadership Lab. And that thought process probably took me like a good year to convince myself to do that. It's not an easy, I don't see myself as like a serial entrepreneur. I'm very risk averse, I think. So it took a long time to like decide like, okay, what are the considerations? What are like the financial considerations, the work
Right.
considerations, all the things before I could decide that it was the right thing to leave and start the Leadership Lab. And finally came to that. And now, yeah, now I'm just start literally from scratch, zero, bringing new workshops and trainings to people outside of Amazon.
Okay, very nice. And congratulations. That was a big step. And especially if you're at the height of your career and then to decide to go off and do, your own thing. And it sounds like it was a very thoughtful process for you. But congratulations if no one has told you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So tell me a little bit more about the Leadership Lab, specifically about how you interact with your clients. How did you choose this like niche part of leadership development to get into?
Yeah, I think just like reflecting on my own experience and, a lot of my peers and friends and teams, mentees, mentors of all the things that were most effective for them in their career, like was mostly somebody taught me how to do this or my mentor gave me great advice or my onboarding buddy was a miracle, like they're the one who saved me from making all these mistakes. And it was always like some who lived it already
Hmm.
taught them the ropes. And so I really wanted to lean into that and figure out how to bring that to more people, like not just if you were lucky that you got a great manager or a great onboarding buddy
Right,
that
right.
you had this development, but you could actually like learn some of these things. So that's where I started. And so all the content we create is either created or vetted by leaders who have been through it. And I think that's what resonates with so many people is that like it's very relevant. It's like lots of learn by failing stories and like don't you don't have to go through this, let me tell you how I did it. And so we bring that to companies who want their teams to be better performing or succeed, achieve really complicated or challenging things. And I also bring that directly to people who just are ambitious and want to do better at work and improve their own skills. So but they're all like super practical stuff that rarely is somebody walking you through how to give tough feedback or to have a difficult conversation or how to
Right.
handle conflict with a peer or how to not look like an idiot in front of your skip level. Like all of these things are just like unspoken things that you're supposed to figure out. But there's actually ways to learn it and improve on it and make it a skill.
Now, as a new entrepreneur, was it really easy to sell and to pitch your service?
Listen, if anything is easy, please give me the playbook. I it wasn't hard to sell the problem. I think people know these skills are really critical to
Hmm.
being successful at work. And companies know this too, right? They know their teams need to collaborate to be, higher performing, to achieve really stretch business goals. They need to like have effective ways of working. But you know, is the solution the right one? Is this going to solve it for them? I think is what people want to know. And so, having some proof points and trying different ways. I've gotten a lot of no's though, so a lot of yeses, which is great, momentum and great like testimonials and building on the feedback that they have. But I would say it's so much of putting yourself out there, hearing what people have to say, iterating on it, talking to anyone who will listen. And getting those kind of those off chances that people will take a chance on it and say like, yeah, that's exactly what I need at the exact right time. And I have the budget to do it. Come on
Right,
in, Myra.
exactly. The budget is important for
Yeah,
sure.
that's probably the biggest challenge, especially right now when people are cutting.
Mhm.
But no, it hasn't been hard to talk about it, but it's definitely a lot. I mean, I don't think enough entrepreneurs talk about it's all sales. No matter what you're in, no matter what you're selling, a service, a product, an item,
Yeah,
anything, it's all marketing and sales. And like getting comfortable with that, embracing that, I think has been a big learning for me. And I come from
exactly.
marketing, so like I knew it was going to be a lot of that, but like it's to the 10th degree, right?
Right. And it's a mindset shift because when you're in a function such as marketing or maybe even finance, and then you go off on your own and you have to sell, the first thing that comes out of our mouths is like, I'm not a salesperson, or I don't know how to sell.
Yeah.
But you are an entrepreneur. You have to. It's like every
Yeah.
day you have to. And I think we underestimate what that means. You don't have to be in a sales function to sell. You're building your brand when you're in a corporate office. So that's a way that you're selling. And then when you become an entrepreneur, you're building your brand. And that's, the things that you do for your customers, what you offer, how you go about marketing your business. Those are all tactics that kind of feed into that sales funnel.
Yes. Yeah, and doing that for yourself versus, somebody else's business or company or service, like, is so
Yeah.
different, right? It's like it's so personal. It also feels like so much pressure to get it right, and I've learned, like, every conversation that I have, I get, like, a tiny step closer to feeling, like, a little bit more confident about it, about how to
Yeah.
articulate it, how to say it, the ways that I'm using, like, all of those things, just, like, you have to do it to you know, feel like you are good at it. So,
Right. Yeah. Now, when you think about women in leadership and women entrepreneurship, what are those things that you feel like you have taken from the lessons that you learned in corporate and are applying them? And are there things that you wish you would have known or tried differently um, on your entrepreneur journey as a woman?
yeah, my mentor, when I left Amazon, my mentor was like, I know you're going to be successful because you have three things. You are really passionate about this. You are really good at it. It's your strength. And people find value in it. And like, you can't have success without those three things all together. Like, you could be passionate about something and nobody gives a shit. Like, so that's not going to be your ticket to success.
Right.
You could be, really passionate about something and not good at it. Or you could be really good at something and hate it and hate doing it, and that's never going to fulfill you. So finding those three things, I think, took me a while to figure that out. And I think that's normal for people to build on their experiences and figure out like what they don't like, what they do like, and leaning into what they do. And I would say a big piece of how to figure that out is advocating for yourself and what you do like. And that is something that we could spend a lot more time doing and practicing. And all of the step changes in my career when I was reflecting back on it, like all of the step changes were when I said something out loud. When I proposed an idea, when I said, "Oh, I really like working with that team. I wish I had more projects with them." And then, all of a sudden get more projects with them. Or when I had this idea to start this learning and development team, like these are all things that I said out loud and then things happened
Right.
versus thinking that your manager or your leader knows what you want or thinking that your work is going to speak for itself or that your results speak for itself. Like they don't. You have to advocate for them. You are your best advocate and you have to practice that. You can't just like be like, I'm a great leader, so I'm going to be able to articulate this really clearly, like all my value. Like, no, it's like a skill to actually advocate for yourself. So I think like spending a little bit more, being more intentional about that and not being apologetic about that
Hmm.
and carving that out, whether it's, both at work, if you're working at a company or, in my entrepreneurship journey, I feel like it's almost even harder because you have to create those opportunities to advocate for yourself.
Sure.
And doing that feels maybe not natural or not, not as easy. But without them, like literally nobody knows. So you have to, like it's table stakes to do it.
For sure. And I think that the benefits are there and they're clear. And, we see them around us, but sometimes when you're sitting in the chair and you're just on the grind, just doing the work, you don't have time to think about what you're passionate about. You don't really have time because you have to
Yeah,
do the work. You have to
that's
come to
true.
work, do your job. You might have to come home and take care of your family or do whatever else you have going on. But we are so inundated with life that the extra just sometimes seems so daunting.
So daunting, especially if you want more out of your career.
Uh-huh.
Like, it's even worse because you have so many ideas, so many thoughts, like what ifs. Maybe even like for me, I had resentment in some cases of like what I could have been doing. And yes, to sort through that is so hard. So I do this one exercise that I love, which I did it out of necessity because I got laid off at the Gap, which is how I got to Amazon. But I do this exercise called the love hate exercise, and it literally takes 3 minutes maybe. But I like to do it before any like career conversation. I do it personally in my entrepreneurship, in my work for like maybe 2 or 3 times a year. And you just literally write all the things you love about your job, give you energy, you get excited about the people you work with, the types of work, the environment, anything, and all the things that you hate, that you dread. You have to do them, but you hate doing them.
Yeah.
And you will see all of it, like immediately you will see themes of like, oh, wow, like I didn't realize that I didn't like to do that, or I didn't realize that I loved this. And why am I not spending more time on that? Like, or why am I spending so much energy on this thing that I hate that I don't even need to do, or that I could outsource, or that, I could tell my manager that I need, something else. So I like to do that really simple exercise that also helps you just get all the crap out of your head
It's a great
and
brain
sort
dump
through it a little
exercise for
bit.
sure.
Yeah.
There's an exercise that I learned at Target Corporation, and it was what brings me energy, what am I good at, and what do I want to learn? And
Love
so
that.
that's very similar to the love
Yes.
hate list, but the added curiosity about what you want to learn may be something that you never had the opportunity to do or to tap into. But if you're curious about it, why not try to learn it? And if you share something like that with your leader, they should be equipped to help you find a way for you to learn that specific thing.
I love that ad. I'm gonna add that. Love, hate, learn.
Yes, 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 yes. Um, and so people that are listening now, they may be in this space, and we've already given them a couple tips. From when you engage with a client, what else do you do to learn more about like their culture? What are the challenges that their teams are having, and how you can really be helpful when you go on these engagements?
So many questions like that I ask them.
Hmm.
And people really want to tell you about it. They just never get the chance to. So I find like one of the biggest flexes talking to clients is silence. Like, let me throw you a question and then you will fill the silence. If I don't say anything, like you will tell me like all the
Okay.
things about your your company and the culture and the problems, the challenges. So yeah, I just ask a ton of questions, like try to get to know them as best as I can. And I also like to ask very specific like behavioral stuff like when you have to pivot or you get a new company direction, like what happens? How do you find out? How does it get to all the people on your team? Tell me some specifics. And usually people definitely remember like, oh yeah, when we had to pivot from this, like this is what happened. And it just gives you a better glimpse of like the realities of what their situation is. And sometimes people can't name the solution they're looking for. They know they have this problem, and your job as the expert is to figure out what the right solution is for them and propose that. And so, like, having them stay in the problem area and let you be the expert of the solution, I find helps you come up with like a more targeted solution that actually hits whatever their root problem is. So yeah, we do a lot of questions, a lot of listening.
Mhm.
It's almost like a little career therapy so they could just say like what are really the problems that you guys are going through? Let me try to
Yeah.
figure out a better solve for them.
And it feels good because you're not a
Yeah.
part of the company, and so you don't have to hold back on
Yeah.
what you say, and I'm
Yeah.
sure there's some level of trust and confidentiality and discretion that you are bringing to them, so it makes them comfortable with sharing that. Has there been any surprises as you've gone through your process?
With clients, you mean?
Mhm. And talking to some of their
Yeah.
employees?
Honestly, no surprises. I am always pleasantly surprised with like how eager they are to get help. Like they're like, we're so in the thick of it. We're in the weeds right now. Like we can't get out of it. And we just need perspective. Like we need somebody to come in and help and bring a different perspective to this. And so they're just like eager to fix things, which is always really helpful. I would say the clients that are not ready to do the work, that is always a challenge. And one thing I have learned the hard way is to give that feedback and basically say, like, you're not ready for this. Like, I don't think this is the right solution for you, because even if we do all the things the right way, if you don't put in the work, you're not gonna see any impact. You're not gonna see a change, and you're gonna be pissed that you paid me to do it, to help you with it.
Right.
And so, like, I have to recognize that and set a boundary or set, some filters to have the client realize that this is not the right time or the right solution for them. That is really hard as a new entrepreneur, because I'm going to take anything that comes my way. Like, if, I need to try everything. I need to pay my bills. I have a mortgage. I have 2 kids. Like, I will take it. But if you're not going to get the impact out of it, like, it's not worth it.
Right.
So
Well, good for you
that's
for
really
being
hard.
honest.
Yeah, no.
But I also think it's beneficial because then if they are reflective based on your feedback, then they can ask you, well, I want to be ready. I do want to
Yeah,
solve this problem. Like,
yeah,
what do I need to do
true.
to show you that I am ready? Or what behaviors do I need to change in order to be ready?
Yes, and that would be a great conversation. Sometimes that happens and sometimes it doesn't.
Wishful thinking, for sure. Well, now as we wrap, what are some pieces of advice that you have for someone who may be feeling stuck in their career? It's definitely a challenging job market. It is, we wake up every day probably, waiting for some news to drop about something else happening in our economy. So if someone is in that space and they want to move on, whether it's from a company or to a new position, how would you encourage them to keep trying, keep going? Here are some things that you should do to make an impact and to make that change.
Yeah. The first thing is counterintuitive, but you have to have focus. I see a lot of people now, they're like, I could do this, or I could do this, or I would be good at this. And they have like a list of 10 different functions or jobs or company ideas that they want to do. And I would say, like, pick one. Let's pick the one that aligns with what you're good at, what you love, and where you find where other people find value, and like focus on it. Because if you have too many areas, you're diluting your message, you're diluting your energy, you're diluting your time, your mental space, like all of it. And it comes across in interviews, in how you articulate yourself, advocate for yourself with your manager.
Yeah.
It's not going to be clear. So I would say first focus, which encourage a lot of clients today. Like, they think that there's not as many jobs, too many people out there. They have to apply for everything. And it's not true. You have to apply for the things where you are laser focused on crushing it. And you are the best fit for that. And you will be able to showcase that if you can focus. So the number one is focus. And the second thing is network. If you are unsure about anything, I would spend 80% of your free time networking. And I don't mean 80%. I don't mean cold messaging people. I mean talking to people you already know. Former managers, former mentors, former direct reports, old colleagues, us, right? Like anyone who you already know, you need to connect back with. And I love like a simple two sentence thing. Hey, I saw this commercial the other day and thought of you. We should catch up. Super basic. And just start catching up with people, get perspective on things. Those are the people that are going to help you land the next introduction, the open role, the referral, the whatever, the introduction to an investor, whatever it is, like another entrepreneur who started a similar business. And that is how you're going to get on the right track and feel like you're making progress. But that's probably the place that people spend the least time, is networking with people they already know, because it takes a lot of effort. Sorry, there's no easy button.
There is no easy button. Yeah.
But like
That's the reality.
Yeah, it is. And you will feel like you're making progress when you start to have the right conversations with people.
Nice. I love that. And then for our entrepreneurs who are listening, how do you find your balance, and what advice do you have for someone who might just be starting out?
I would say test as much as you can. Let perfection go out the door. Progress over perfection. Send the email, post the thing, put the website up without it being perfect. Like whatever it is, like do the things. That's how you're going to get feedback. That's how you're going to learn. That's how you're going to refine your positioning and your message. And it feels like super hard at first when you're like, this has to be perfect for it to be the world to know about it. And it's like, no, the world needs to just know that you exist. And then perfect it. They will help you perfect it. They will help you perfect it, actually. So just do it. And I think probably the hardest part for me moving from a working at a company to entrepreneurship is that it's lonely. Like you are literally by yourself. And like me, I'm a solopreneur. I have no intention of hiring people yet. So it really is just me like hosting and facilitating the workshop, printing the book, fixing the printer, buying the ink, like everything literally.
Yeah.
And I would say that felt really exciting the first few months and then really lonely the next few months. So being intentional about finding people, finding your crew, finding other entrepreneurs, finding, the networks that, your community, I think can really save you from stewing in your head about every decision or anything that goes wrong or any good thing. So I learned that the hard way. I didn't invest in that early enough. I didn't know that I would feel that way. And now I feel like, okay, I have an intentional crew, different people that I can go to for different things and still feel like I'm part of something. That has helped me a lot.
That's great advice. Great advice to that.
Yeah, I'm sure you can. Yeah, you taught me a lot about that too.
Mm-hmm. Good, good. Well, thanks so much for being here. Please tell the audience how they can get in contact with you and find you if they are interested in your services.
Yeah, so you can connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm Myra Deshmukh. Also on TikTok and Instagram at Leadership Lab Co. Follow along, lots of tips on career leadership, communications tips, and all of my upcoming workshops, events, classes are posted on my socials. So would love to hear from you. And yeah, if anything resonated, I would love for you to drop me a line and let me know and we can connect.
Yes, absolutely. So I'll make sure that all of that is also shared in the notes to this episode. Thank you again, and I look forward to talking to you more.
Thanks, Monét. Bye.
All right, take care. Bye-bye. Thank you for joining me this week. Let's continue the conversation on social media at 1 Minute with Monét on all channels. Also, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform. Until next time, be well.